Hi guys, it's ALCHEMY. How's everyone doing? Good, I hope. In today's video, I will be talking to you about the best and the worst of, say it together now, Nishane, Nishane, Nishane. Take your pick. I'm gonna say Nishane because that is the way it is lodged into my brain and I cannot change it anymore. I just can't. I've been told that it is pronounced Nishane by a Turkish person, and which is where the brand is from. However, I will be saying Nishane because that's just how it is. Okay, I'm going to talk about 3 of my least favorites and 3 of my favorites. It's not so harsh as best and worst because it's all my humble opinion, but I know that this brand is very well liked in the niche community. They have the ability to churn out some really interesting fragrances, but some, you know, you can't like them all. So I thought I'd just give you a rundown of 6 perfumes. Yeah, 6. Right amount of fingers held up right there. And my nose has started itching as soon as I press record, which is always fantastic, of course. So if you don't know Nishane, they are one of the only Turkish brands to break out into the niche world in quite a fantastical way. They are well loved by a lot of people, and some of their fragrances are absolutely beautiful. They are all extrait. So there's no eau de parfum, does not exist in this line. There is no eau de toilette, does not exist in their collection at all. And without further ado, let's just talk about the ones I don't like so much and the ones that I think are amazing. So we're gonna start with my first wah on this list, and it is called Credo. Credo is it's one of the newer collections that Nishane have released, and it's called the Time Capsule collection. They're all about the flow of time and butterfly effect and all of these kinds of things. I will say, with Nishane, as well as many other brands, this is not a naming shaming thing, sometimes there's a huge disconnect between the story and inspiration of the perfume and what it actually smells like. Sometimes it feels like there's just a story plonked on top of a formula. And that is why Credo is in my want list. So Credo, there's another reason too. Credo is a woody osmanthus oud fragrance, and the main reason that it's the first one on my, I guess, negative list would be because Nishane, as well as many other niche brands, like I said at the beginning, sorry, I've got a frog in my throat today. Nishane are perfectly capable of producing stellar fragrances. They have some absolute gems, which I'll talk about in a minute. However, there are so many niche brands out there, and I notice it, and you notice it, where they have a fantastic line of perfumes, but they not so surreptitiously just put in something that is inspired by, or basically kind of like a dupe of something else. And Credo, unfortunately for me, smells pretty much the same as Oud Wood by Tom Ford. Tom Ford is one of those brands that other brands latch onto and do their own version of something that he's done and then just kind of shove it into their line. And things like that really disappoint me. I think Nishane are a great brand, okay? This is not a bashing video, but it is the reason why Credo is in the worst of Nishane for me. If you haven't smelled Oud Wood before, it's a very dense, leathery oud. It smells great, however, it is not original. There's also some cardamom, there's some pink pepper, and it has sandalwood in the base as well. Really cool, dense, woody fragrance, however, feels a bit dupey, and I don't really like that, okay? So let's talk on a bit more of a positive note. So the first fragrance, or the first of the 3 of my thumbs up from Nishane, goes to Africa Oliphant. Wackadoodle, however, very, very interesting. So this is Nishane's very animalic perfume. There's 4 or 5 synthetic musks in there. You've got civetone, muscanone, I think castoreum as well. And I'll tell you a quick story about this one. It's in the list because it's interesting. It stands out from the collection as being this brown toney, but also kind of wearable animalic. If you're into animalics, or if you're just getting into animalics, maybe don't smell this one first. However, it does stand out, like I said. So It is animalic, but it has greenery in there as well, and it's someone that I met recently completely changed it in my mind forever, and sometimes that can happen with a perfume where they point something out and then that's all you can smell. So this person said that it smells like new trainer glue, specifically Nike trainers. I don't know if anyone wears Nike trainers, I do. But there's a specific kind of smell that the glue has in that trainer. I'm not really selling this perfume that much, am I? I'm not here to sell them, I'm here to tell you my opinions about them. And it kind of does have that as well. So it's got this weird, sweet, gluey kind of smell, but then it has animalic as well. The first time I smelled it, I was like, whoa, it's super animalic. But then once it changed in my mind. So anyway, go and try it if you can, get a sample of it if you can. Africa Oliphant is a standout for me among the Nishane line. It's different from all of the others. It doesn't smell like anything else that I've personally tried. So that's why it's on there. As a good one, I should say. That's why it's on there. That's why it's on my thumbs up list. So this one is myrrh, ambergris, labdanum incense, leather, civet, castoreum, oud, and musk. And there's a lot of, yeah, it's all synthetic musk, so don't worry, Nishane are not being cruel to animals. So yeah, it's a resinous, kind of resinous animalic with that little twist of that Nike trainer glue, which sounds absolutely horrendous, but it smells amazing. Okay, let's go down to the bottom of the list again. The next one I think is going to be a controversial one because this is, I think, a bestseller for the brand overall. I heard so much about this one. I heard people raving about it. The first time I ever smelled it, I sort of just went, meh, I don't understand. Everyone's different. Everyone likes different things. I totally get that. And it is Arni. In terms of vanilla fragrances, I kind of get the appeal. Arni, if you don't know it already, is one of Nishane's vanillas. They have a couple, and it's a bright one. The vanilla in here is paired together with really bright notes like tea, ginger, cardamom. So it's not one of those overly gloopy, thick ice cream vanillas. There is sparks of brightness in it. However, is it exciting? Not really. I have worn it 4 or 5 times. I've tried it on my skin. I actually wore it today in the kind of lead up to this video. And once again, I just thought, yeah, it's nice. And I think if you're a niche perfume lover and really far into your journey, nice just doesn't cut it anymore. I think people were looking for more. However, it gets raved about all the time. Arni this, Arni that. I work in the fragrance industry. People always want to smell Arni all the time. You show it to them and they love it. For me, it's just a bit of a gingery vanilla with some cardamom, really. So sorry, Arni, but you're on the bottom of the list for me. Okay, let's talk about a good one. So another one that I think deserves to be in the best of Nishane, unfortunately, is one of the most expensive ones in their collection. They have a line of fragrances called the Prestige, and there's 4 of them, I think. Yes, this one is called Neffs, and oh my gosh, I don't want to go into story time. The first thing I'm going to say about this perfume is how perfectly, seamlessly blended it is, and also how interesting the note list is. Let me give it to you. Also, before I do that, I will say, Nishane, if you're watching this, I think a lot of the cost of this fragrance comes from the bottle. The bottle has this completely, it has a metal cage on it, and it looks very expensive, and it must cost a lot to produce this because it's completely custom made. Could you guys just take the metal cage off and put it in a normal bottle just so I can possibly afford it? It is £470. Ouch. However, it delivers in the way it smells and the way it performs as well. I'm going to give you the note list because it's a really interesting one. So it has saffron, fig, violet, honey, and sage in the top notes. The heart notes are rose, nutmeg, jasmine, geranium, and osmanthus. And the base notes are whiskey, cinnamon, cedarwood, amber, vanilla, and leather. Oh, where do I even start with this one? Compliments galore. I have worn this fragrance probably 10 to 15 times, and in terms of projection, it is a room filling, crazy fragrance. However, it smells soft. This isn't a choky, kind of harsh fragrance. It's mainly about rose, but all of the elements here are blended like silk. I don't know who the perfumer is actually, I'm not sure, but wowza, it feels like I can put it in the rose oud category, but there's so many other elements in here. You've got sweetness from honey, it's a little bit herbal, you've got, it feels really exotic, but powdery as well, and it's ultra elegant. It's, I guess you could consider it an oriental. I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that word anymore. Oh, controversial. It's one of the most exquisite fragrances I've smelled in a long time, and wearing it is just an absolute joy. The longevity is just crazy on it. It stays with you for 24 hours, and it is finessed to perfection. So centered around rose, really, with some, I don't know, it's just neffs smelling, and that's that's not very distinctive or a very, you know, eloquent way to describe a fragrance, but sometimes they just stump you where the blending is so good that only a few things stick out, and the rest are just playing factors that contribute to this seamless blend of beauty. And neffs, I wish it didn't cost as much as it did, because I really want it in my collection. But yeah, most people that I've shown this to have been blown away. And I will tell you a story. I wear this to the pub sometimes after work for drinks with my colleague, and the lady that works in the pub that we go to says, I always know when you guys are here because the entire top floor smells of you. And it's always when I wear neffs. So yeah. Anyway, I've gushed about it enough. Let's talk about the final womp womp, and then we'll move on to the last positive, okay? So the last one on my worst list for Nishane, another one that's gonna be controversial, is 100 Silent Ways. This is their other vanilla perfume. This one is a white floral vanilla. It has three, I think, or maybe 4 white florals in it. Gardenia, jasmine, maybe orange blossom, I think. And then it has some peach going on, so it's a bit fruity. And then it has vanilla in the base. It's very syrupy, this one. And it's also a bit choky and cloying. Again, so loved by people. People that smell it love it. I hear so much talk about this one. Before I had discovered Nishane for myself fully, this was the one that I noticed, people talking about all the time. And to not sound so harsh, it smells like many other white floral vanillas that you find in the commercial market. Maybe just a tiny bit elevated, a little bit more finessed, and a little bit more interesting, but really it feels kind of commonplace. And because, you know, Nishane, their prices, they're not so cheap. I don't know about this one. I see why people can like it, but for me, it's another one that's just a little bit meh. I love the name. I love the red color on the bottle. I think it's cool. But ultimately, it's one of many in a sea of white floral vanillas that have flooded the market in the last 5 years, I would say. So for me, it just kind of gets lost in amongst some much more interesting fragrances from Nishane, which leads me on to my final one and my favorite fragrance from Nishane. Let's talk about it. It is called Nanshi. I have mentioned this fragrance before on my channel in a video where I talked about some discoveries that I'd made. This is amazing. And it's not a really expensive one like Neff's. It is in the normal price range. And no one ever talks about this fragrance, ever. I never see people mention it. So I'm gonna be the one to talk about it. I'm gonna be the one to tell you, if you ever come across Nishane anywhere, pick up this one and smell it, please. Please do it for me. This is one of the most interesting iris perfumes I have tried. It has rice powder, it has iris in its core, then it has things like yuzu, I think there is a carrot note as well. It's a bright iris, and that's one thing that Nishane are quite good at, playing with bright and soft at the same time. They did it with their Amber Calabria, I think it's called, Amber Calabria. Anyway, they're played with amber and greenery at the same time. So Nishane is so elegant, it's so sophisticated. This is the only Nishane fragrance for me that has a story that matches. The inspiration for this one was the goddess of purity. It feels it's very easy to wear. It's, again, sparks of brightness with powdery underneath. And every time I wear it, the first time I wore it actually, I wore it on the way to work, and I wore it, and on the tube I was thinking, what's that smell? And then, you know, one of those moments where you say, ah, it's me, yay, I smell great today. So I fell in love with Nishane from there. Neffs and Nishane for me, oh, I don't know. Neffs is my usual style. Nishane is not so much my usual style. However, I appreciate the beauty of it, and it is a standout because nothing else in the collection even comes close to the way that smells. Let me give you the note list. So in the top notes we have cardamom, yuzu, bergamot and carrot. Heart notes are ylang ylang, jasmine, rose and exotic fruits. It's not an exotic fruit person, I was going to say, perfume. Base notes are iris, rice powder, musk, sandalwood and patchouli. And yeah, just very beautiful, very finessed, very elegant. Really, really lovely. As I said, if you come across Nishane perfumes or get to sample any or find samples, just try that one. It needs a bit of love. Everyone always talks about Fan Your Flames, 100 Silent Ways, Arni and Hasivat or Hachavat. Those four get all the attention, but Nanshi's just sitting over there in her goddess throne saying, why does no one love me? It's one of the best. That's why it's the tippity top of this list. Anyway, guys, I hope you liked this video. That was just my little humble opinion. This was not a bashing video, but every brand has things that you're not gonna like and things that you are gonna like. It's just the way of the world. Anyway, I'm ALCHEMY, trying to make the world smell better, one video at a time. I'll see you guys soon, goodbye.